Check podcasts.
The Bread and Butter Collective is a collection of hospitality professionals working together to help strengthen our industry to build strong culture, community, and sustainability.
I'm Kalen McNeil.
And I'm Sam Jones. And this is the Bread and Butter Podcast.
Welcome to the Bread and Butter Podcast. How are you, Sam?
Barely ready. Barely ready, but
Are you
we
ever ready?
Yeah, sometimes I come in like 15 minutes early.
You do. You're actually... we're here on time, which I think is the first time ever.
I think so. Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers for being on time.
Yeah.
I'm doing really good, actually. How about yourself? Are you feeling better? Last time we talked, your back was out.
Yeah, I'm feeling better, thankfully, but it's old age stuff.
So you're not getting younger since last I saw you?
I was trying, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
I took that youth baby water something.
Oh, is that stuff that's blue that you put in your mouth?
No, vodka.
Oh, vodka.
Yeah. How's your palsy going?
It was doing better. Now it's gone back to 100% palsy-like and no movement. It's frustrating, but I'm at peace with it.
So you just sound like you've had a bottle of vodka yourself.
Well, these orange cups hide a lot.
Dark vodka.
Dark vodka. It comes from Poland, this vodka.
I like it. And what I also like, these are segues. They're called segues.
They are.
Our guest, Madone Pelan.
Yes.
Hey,
Did I pronounce that right?
Very close. Madone Pelan.
Pelan, yes.
Yes, everybody wants to say Pelan.
Well, when you got the Madone, you're like, Pelan.
Is Phelan closer?
Well, I never heard Palin until the elections in the U.S. A decade ago. Or
that's
a couple
right.
decades ago, yeah.
Maybe that's where I'm getting that.
Yeah.
So how does Corey's your husband?
Yes.
How does he pronounce?
Pelin.
Yeah.
Pelin.
So
Yeah.
Corey Pelin.
Yeah.
Corey Pelin.
Madone's a French name.
Yeah. Well, that's where I go. Yeah, it really works. What was your maiden name?
Peltier. So it wasn't a big stretch.
Yeah. It was very, very easy. So, Madone, tell us how you got into the hospitality business. Give us your backstory.
Okay.
Start as far back as you want to go.
It goes back as far as you can go, really. For me, it was a typical story of first summer job, right? And so for many of us, we sort of fell into the hospitality industry, not really knowing that this was the path we were going to take. And then we fall in love with it eventually or immediately. And so for me, it was immediately. My first job was at Canada Place in Vancouver. I was hired to do check-in for the cruise lines for the summer. Princess Cruises. I got to wear a little uniform. I looked like a stewardess. And I welcomed people coming in on buses to board the cruise ships, check them in, and a variety of different things. And it was great. I got to meet people that were coming from all over the world, seeing Vancouver for the first time, my home, and seeing people fall in love with where you live is pretty special. And all of a sudden you light up and you want to share all kinds of, things that they should experience. And so very quickly that summer, they repositioned me to do the pre-check-ins at the hotels downtown. So cruise ship passengers would come in. I'd be at one of the major 5 hotels. So it was either the Waterfront, Pan Pacific, Sutton Place, Four Seasons, or the Westin Bayshore. And so at 16, back access pass to all of those great hotels, lunch in the cafeteria. And I was a dedicated check-in person for the cruise lines. And I got a sneak peek behind the curtain and absolutely fell in love with the industry. And then had an opportunity to work on board the ships for a few years. And so I did back-to-back world cruises and got to see the world at a young age.
What were you doing there, like on the cruises? What was your...
So I was hired as a junior assistant purser, and what that is essentially front desk. Okay. And so, and you handle all the cash transactions on the ship. You can also be working in the casino, or there's a few different departments, but I was front desk, and that's how I was hired. And then about 4 months in, the secretary for the captain and senior officers quit. She walked off the ship in Italy, which is where she was from, and they were stuck. And
that's good planning.
Yeah. And they did a call out asking if if anybody could type, and I put up my hand, and I had totally lied. And I was reassigned as the secretary for the captain and senior officers, and that's what I did, and it was very cool. I got
Did
to
you
learn a
figure
lot.
out how to type along the way?
It was painful. I did. There was no, at that time, there was no like tutorials online that you could take. And so I just had to bluff my way. But it was an Italian captain, and he would yell at me in Italian, and he'd have this big red pen. And so he would highlight things constantly that were incorrect, and give me feedback in Italian. So it was a steep learning curve, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It was brilliant.
So at age 16, aren't you supposed to be in school and not on a boat traveling the world?
So I joined the ships when I was 18.
Oh, okay.
And then I came back when I was 20. So it was like 2.5 years of roughly of traveling the world, which was really cool.
That's perfect age to be doing that too.
Yeah.
And especially in an industry or an area where you end up making it your career, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you got back, what happened? So you're back, you're 20, you've had 4 years of pretty good experience learning stuff. What did you do when you got home?
I came back. My mother had been in an accident, and I needed to be back home. And so otherwise, I think I would have stayed on the ships for a lot longer. I'm glad that I came back and regrounded. But when I came back, I knew that I only wanted to work for luxury hotels, and there was only one hotel I wanted to work for. It was the Sutton Place at the time. It was 5 Diamond, one of 3 in all of Canada. And
I didn't know that about Sutton Place.
There was a real magical period of time there. And so I walked in with my resume, only place I applied, waited 2 weeks, got the interview, and I was hired. And so I started there on the front desk, and then worked through night audit, reservations, helped out with concierge a little bit. And so I really rounded out that hotel experience. Met Corey. We had our daughter, and then
Is that what you guys do? You guys meet in Vancouver?
We did, yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then we moved here. His family's from Victoria, and then I joined Fairmont when I came to Victoria. So
interesting. So what was Corey doing in Vancouver? Was he working at the Sutton Place too? Did you guys meet at work?
No. He was. I met him before I went away traveling, and he was in. He was just wrapping up cooking school at the time, so he was cooking in Vancouver. And so while I was at the Sutton Place, he was at a place called Rex Rotisserie and Grill, and then he had a few stints at different restaurants. And we moved to Victoria because he had an opportunity to take on a chef position at Bravo. I don't know if you remember Bravo down on the water, long time ago.
Wow, that is
and
a long time.
So that gave us the opportunity to come to the island. His family's here, and with a brand new baby, decided that it was probably a good thing to be close to family and have those supports.
Oh,
sure.
For sure. So when you came and you started with Four Seasons on the island?
No, it was Fairmont.
Or Fairmont, sorry.
Yeah,
I keep getting Fairmont. And
the F.
They both start with F,
I'm a very basic guy, right?
That's okay.
F4. So how did that go? So that would have been, so you would have already had a few years at Sutton Place and then come to the Empress?
And then I came to the Empress, and with a young child. I think our daughter was just a year old. So all of a sudden I needed to work really stable hours to be that solid state, parent with normal hours when your husband's a chef. One of us had to.
Yeah.
So I took a position in reservations at the Fairmont Empress, and it was tour reservations specifically, and it was fairly stable hours that we could work around. And then I was with Fairmont for 11 years. So a long time. And during that time, I held, I think it was 6 or 7 different positions within the hotel. And it was always sort of this movement, progressive growth, and moving up to a place where when I left the Fairmont Empress, I was a sales manager that had done all of the sales markets and selling everything from conferences and business travel and tour and leisure and a little bit of marketing, a little bit of PR and all that fun stuff in between.
So when you're doing, I'm curious about that sales role for hotels, like when they're trying to solicit business, and are they dealing with the tourism boards in different countries, or are they dealing with corporations, or is people inquiring and you're following leads that way, or is there outreach?
It's incredibly complex
Yeah.
on the sales side, and
It's very competitive too, right?
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
You're not only competing with different hotels,
Yeah.
you're competing with different cities.
In different
as well.
destinations,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I spent the entire 11 years at Fairmont Empress trying to explain to my mother what I do, and so I would say I'm in sales and I'm selling for the Fairmont Empress, and she's like, "You must be a terrible salesperson. You haven't sold it yet, right?" So other tourism boards their mandate is to bring tourism to them. So typically, and there's different market segments that you pursue, and there's different ways that you can get the business. But we'll speak about meeting and events business, and there you have associations and corporations, and you have you really have a pipeline of business that you are pursuing that they hold annual meetings that move around. And so, for example, Canadian associations typically will hold a meeting on the East Coast, the West Coast, and one in Central, and they move around. And so you get to know which organizations are in which cycle, and then you work with them to really, it was more problem solving, and it was meeting people's needs and selling the destination really for the right fit. So I fell in love with showcasing what we have here in Victoria, and I think why I was successful in doing what I did was it wasn't sales, right? I really believe in our destination and how special what a special place it is. And I can't help but show that when I bring people here. So a lot of what I did was hosting people to come through our destination, showcase it, and sell them on why they should bring their business to Victoria.
And all the different amenities and the beauty of it and how their people would respond.
Exactly. And a lot of that is, what makes Victoria unique is beyond sort of like the big organizations that we all think of in tourism, but the heart and soul of our community is small business, right? Yeah. We have all of these great small, restaurants and coffee shops and, non-branded boutique shops along the way. And it really makes our destination a unique destination that is authentic, right? It doesn't feel like it is a big cheesy pitch. It is. It's a really beautiful place to be.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole West Coast is just like special in the world, really.
It is. Yeah.
It must be
for
easy
sure.
to sell the beauty of it.
Yeah. And so for me, like you can tell, I'm really passionate about it. I love showcasing what we have and showcasing the destinations and things. So I did that for, like I said, 11 years. And the Empress is one of those institutions in Victoria that, first off, it had 500 employees. And people just stay, right, for a lot of really good reasons. And so 11 years at the Empress, and I was nowhere near the top of the seniority for the sales team, right? And so if I wanted to grow and learn something new.
It would be another decade.
Exactly.
Before,
and then there was an incredible opportunity that opened up at the Oak Bay Beach Hotel. The general manager there at the time was Michelle Lesage. Who I knew from the industry, and I met with her, and it wasn't an interview; it was a walk through the hotel. The hotel had just gone into receivership. This was back in 2015, early 2015.
Was it after the fire or before the fire? When was the fire there?
So, the hotel was rebuilt, right?
Yeah.
They dismantled it in 2006. It took them 6 years to reopen the hotel. They spent an inordinate amount,
way
so much money on it, and it was almost impossible to overcome that debt ratio. And so they fell into receivership. And beautiful property, everything was still brand new. And so Michelle walked me through, and she just showed me what the opportunity was, right? Yeah. Take a walk through. There's no, if you could just see the potential and how exciting it is, then you could leave 11 years with Fairmont to go to a hotel in receivership. Right?
Yeah, that's a big risk.
And I think that speaks volumes to the influence Michelle has, right? And she can convince. She's very convincing when she needs to be. But she also had a vision, and she brought me over, and it was an opportunity to. shape the future of that hotel and start from scratch and the ground up and really build something special there.
So when you went there, when you did the walkthrough, was it open again?
Yeah, it was still operational.
It operated throughout that whole period, right?
It did. It not in an ideal way.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was in receivership, so everything was cash on delivery.
Yeah.
It was really quite an interesting time. I'd never experienced that before. One of my first week, I had to do a sales trip down to Seattle, and I'm used to having a corporate credit card. It's Fairmont. It's like, anyway, and so everything was just cash on hand. And so I went into the accounting office, and they gave me an envelope with US dollars in it to spend. I'm like,
here's $1,500. Don't spend $1 more.
Exactly. But no, we made it through that, and then the hotel, obviously, incredibly successful. It's done amazing things. I worked my way through sales, marketing, and then Michelle left the industry. I don't know. She had a special inside information on what was going to happen in the industry. I think her last day was February 28th, 2020. And I started March 1st.
Conspiracy theory.
I know. Yeah,
She
exactly.
knew all about it.
So, no, I took over as general manager March 1st of 2020. And it was, everything was going to be smooth sailing. The year was set up for success. What could go wrong? Everything was dialed in. It was just going to be the perfect year to take over as GM.
And was the same company that owned it when it was in receivership, did they continue to own it? And do they own it now? Or
no. So, it's a really sad story, and it's unfortunate. The Walker family owned the Oak Bay Beach Hotel for 2 generations. And so Kevin Walker, the son, was the one with the vision to rebuild the property. And it was his heart and soul that he put into what you see today. And he did absolutely everything he could to try and make it viable. They leveraged a lot of their debt against the condos that they built, and those condos just didn't sell. 2015 was not a good time to sell, $2 million condos. Wow. And so those didn't move as quickly as they needed to. And so ultimately they lost the property. I never had a chance to meet him. Yeah. I came in after the family was gone. It was, so I was in limbo when I came in, and then we had new owners that were, they had the construction company that built the hotel. They were the largest debtors, and they utilized that debt towards the purchase price, which was brilliant.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
So they bought a hotel. They initially were not looking to buy. So not hotel.
I can't imagine.
They just wanted to build it.
Hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to do construction? Do you want to do a hotel?
So, no, it was a really interesting time. They were great people. Absolutely enjoyed working with them. But there was a learning curve for everybody involved, I think, right? And so, but they were passionate and supportive, and they saw the vision and they supported it, 100%. So it was great.
The timing of the COVID did that for them too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're trying to get their debt back, but they don't want to add to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what a stressful time. I mean, it was a stressful time for anybody, but you're starting a new job and a new role.
Yeah.
How did that, was it a steep learning curve, or did you feel like you had enough sort of experience and knew the moving parts?
It's interesting, being in sales and marketing for a decade before, longer than that, actually. I think it would have been 15 years before stepping in as GM. And in a normal circumstance, that's great. You've got a team of experts in each of your departments, but not having that operational background necessarily, right? Not to the same extent was a little tricky.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and it allows you to do things that other people wouldn't do. And so we leaned in very early on to the team, talked about what we could, rather than talk about what we couldn't do, right? Because every day was a new announcement of what you couldn't do. Right. We took that and talked about what we could do out of it. And we very quickly, decided that we would absolutely do everything we possibly could, obviously within the guidelines, but to support the community, support one another, and talked about what do we want to say in a year. In a year from now, what do we want to say that we accomplished and did? And we all agreed we wanted to be there for the community. We wanted to show up, have a voice, and be active and engaged in the community. And that's what we did. And it was actually really successful in the end. So
when you talk about coming in as the GM and having really great teams for all your departments, did COVID kind of change that? Were your teams, were they disrupted or broken?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think it was week 2, we realized we needed to lay people off, and it was like 140 people. It was like week 2 of on the job, and nobody really knew for how long. You know, it was this 2 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it was going to be, but we were going to bring them back. I created a document for the owners to show how we could be revenue neutral and keep our executive team and a few managers in place by still offering some services and delivery services and things like that. And that was a motivator for us to be able to show, okay, if we can do these things and bring in enough to cover the cost of labor, then the owners are going to give us a go ahead. And so every week we met to try and push those revenues enough to bring back 2 or 3 more people.
Yeah.
And we just kept doing that over and over and over again. And by July, we brought back all of our 140 people to work.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And so, which was great, because if you weren't the first people to bring them back, then you were really behind. And there was a massive shortage of staff everywhere, right? And we never fell short-staffed at all, even in the recovery, because we gobbled up everybody's staff.
Well, you made it that a priority too.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
The key was, it was always about having the best people. And so whatever it took, we made sure we had the best people, because you had the best people at the table. You would come up with the solutions, and you'd be successful, right? So
I like I think probably your management style, or the newness of your experience in that role, where you didn't have some answers. So rather than just pretend you had them, or box yourself. I think a lot of leaders, when they're inexperienced, they think they should be the one with authority. So then they carry it as if they have it, but without the knowledge. When people who are actually working in it have probably really good ideas, have a way better understanding of the actual workings of it. But if you as a leader don't open up to that information, that feedback, or welcome it, or involve them and include them in some of the higher 30,000 foot level view, then I think that was probably a huge advantage, in your style, but also in the fact that you decided to lean into it rather than.
Yeah. And I think it was so new that there was I didn't see another way other than being completely transparent. And saying,
hey, I'm new here.
Look, I know you're all looking to me as the leader, because I'm your new boss, but it's very clear that you are the experts in everything you do. I need you to be the experts in what you do, and then come to the table and let's work together to figure out how this is going to work, right? So, it was an interesting time. And we talk about it like it was the best team building you could ever do. It was extremely challenging, but extremely rewarding at the same time. So, and then that momentum just carried on for the following, 4 years after.
Now, how was the hotel doing when you left? Because you've since left the hotel.
I have, yeah. You know what? It has never done better. It's never been in a better place. So it was one of those decisions so difficult to make, but having been at the hotel for 10 and a half years, looking for that next opportunity for growth and development. I've been spending a lot of time on boards and associations and doing this other work as well. I knew I was leaning more towards that now. And quite frankly, the hotel has kind of, it's been on this winning streak. We've won all of the awards that we can kind of win, and it feels great and it's wonderful. But it also felt like this is the right time when you leave it in the best possible place. And so there were months leading up to, before I left, where I had a long checklist of all the things that I've wanted to complete, over the last 10 years, and I'm making sure I'm powering through. So, my last day was August 7th, and I did a walk through that morning, and it was like, check.
Yeah,
this is done. This has been fixed. And then, so, voting for, the Condé Nast Awards closed in June before I left. And, we really rallied around that. And then they announced them in October. So I was gone, but I got the announcement that, #1 hotel in Western Canada. And I was celebrating with the team.
What awards? Sorry, I don't know that award.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. You know what? We fall into
Sam, come on, man. You don't know that award?
Yeah. No. We fall into our industry speak, if you will. But Condé Nast magazine is a traveler magazine, and they hold awards every year, and it's their Readers' Choice Awards. So it's the readers that actually do the voting, and it's quite prestigious, and it's global. So they break out, every country, and then each country, sometimes regions in those countries, and they have their top 10 or top 15 hotels. This year they broke Canada up into West and East Coast. And so, #1 hotel in Western Canada. And it was just
so do they send like a panel through to do is there like do you know that they're coming to do it, or is it just pure voting?
This is pure voting. Yeah. So this is why this award is so significant, because it's not, it can't be swayed. You can't be hosting and bribing, or, it's not because you're advertising and spending big bucks in the magazine. That's not the case. This is their readers. Now, it's about promoting this online survey, right? Yeah. So you can send it to people who've stayed with you in the past and encourage them to complete it. But how they vote is completely up to them. Yeah. And so there's always a lot of great representation from Victoria. And that was just a nice way to end.
Yes.
And so to answer your question, I left absolutely head held high, and couldn't be more proud of the team. And I know they're going to continue doing amazing things. But no, that was just a really nice way. It was the perfect way to end a chapter.
So are you scared? Because you started your own business, right?
I mean, it's terrifying.
Yeah,
you wake up in the morning.
Love it.
I've been in this industry that is, a full out, you're go and working long hours and on site, hands on since I was 16. And so waking up in the morning and not having exterior structure put upon me has been a little daunting, but I've been, I can't help myself. I'm up at 6, I do my gym. I'm at my desk by 8:30, and I'm working, and I'm busy with creating the business. And now, in just the last couple of months, working through all numerous different contracts it's super exciting. Yeah. Terrifying in some ways, but I'm settling into that.
It's like that fear is the fire.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you're like, okay, I've got to keep moving, got to keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Which then you're turning over opportunities, and then all of a sudden more work gets created, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
So what is going to be your focus of Pelan Hospitality?
Pelan. Well pronounced.
Not Pelan.
It's funny because I had an idea of what it was going to be when I left Oak Bay. There were a few opportunities that had come up before I left, and I fine-tuned the plan around what I thought it was going to be. Mostly the focus initially was going to be on helping hotels and hospitality businesses operate more successfully, whether that is through leadership or repositioning, marketing strategies, efficiencies in operations, and all of that stuff. I love getting into the details. I love operational efficiencies and tweaking things. I also love that leadership perspective and helping teams grow. And so I thought that was going to be it. And it's actually morphed into, it's a really interesting time in Victoria right now with hotels, because we're about to undergo a bit of a boom in new development, and it's long overdue. It's something.
There's a huge shortage of hotels in Victoria, right?
There
has been for years.
There has been. Yeah. And so the timing is just kind of right. And so we're in this moment of a lot of developers have experience building residential, right? A lot of condos. Condos have cooled and they've stalled. And so you have developers now that are looking at viability, and hotels are actually a really good investment right now. The lenders are feeling confident about hotel investments. And so there are many developers that are looking at pivoting. I hate that word after. Sorry.
It's kind of ruined it.
I know. But they're looking at rethinking their plans, and many of them are looking at hotels and have never worked in the hotel space before. And so without actively pursuing this, and it's just been word of mouth referrals, I'm working now with several different developers over quite a few different potential hotel developments within Greater Victoria, Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Okanagan.
Oh, wow.
And they need a hotel operations perspective on the build. So that's been very cool.
Interesting.
And
what a niche.
Does that then influence how they build it, how they design it, the ins and outs and the flow of customers and I don't know what it would involve. I've never worked in a hotel.
It's so interesting because I'm sure it's the same for restaurants where you're in a restaurant or you're running a restaurant or a hotel and you go, oh, who designed this?
Yeah. What were they thinking?
What were they thinking? Yeah. They obviously didn't talk to somebody who actually works in the industry. And so that's kind of this piece where I feel really privileged to be sitting and advising or providing some consultancy on, what the requirements are. But it gets more complex than that. It's about, residential doesn't need back of house space like hotels do. We need housekeeping and we need all of these things. So having a perspective on that, there's a ratio calculation. Then you add in, okay, well, you're going to need a restaurant. You're going to need amenities. And then how do you make that viable? So from a budget perspective, working through these pro formas of tweaking numbers to square feet and, do you need a pool? And pools are expensive. Yeah. But, if you have a pool, you're going to drive higher ADR for the guest room revenue. So there's that. And then does it make sense, right? You need the right hotels in the right place, opening at the right time. You can't flood Victoria with too many hotels or else no one will be successful. And so it's advising on where the gaps are, where the market is going to come in, how much revenue they think that they can bring in. So I think for me, the most exciting part is to see what hotels can bring to a destination like ours, and the vitality it can bring into a region. And like the downtown cores have been decimated across North America. Yeah. And if you can imagine some of the worst hit places, if you bring in a hotel that has full amenities, including a lively restaurant that's full of life, 24-hour service, you've got security that's in place. That changes that entire block. Yeah, and that's right. The vitality and, there won't be things that can be done in the shadows anymore because it's going to be
there's light on it.
Yeah,
there's people moving around, and that does revitalize cores when there's actually a destination to go, and that isn't basically if you're a small business in the downtown core, those issues with the unhoused and drug opioid crisis, all that stuff is like major problem, which impacts your business. But you could put up a new hotel. The security component of it is probably the undervalued one that people don't really think about. But having that security and the lights and the traffic,
just the activity,
keeps it going. So now, if you're a builder, so builders are getting into this. So the way I as a layperson, not ever worked in a hotel. But a lot of these hotels are run by hotel management companies, right? So the owner of the property leases out the management contract. Yeah. Is that how that works? And then the manager comes in and they'll run it and get paid and they'll draw what they draw out of it. And then the building owner will get whatever's left, I guess.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it works.
There's many ways that it can be structured, and that's a very common. One. It's pretty rare that you have owners that
are operating.
Yeah. But Victoria has them, and
like accent inns, I guess, like farmer. Yeah. Like those. They operate their own hotels.
Absolutely. Yeah. Victoria's interesting. We have a lot of boutique hotels. Yeah. The branded hotels, the brands is interesting for me. I'm learning about all these brand standards for the different brand categories
Yeah.
and across. I've only worked in the luxury segment, so it's been no,
What, the Holiday Inn,
You gotta look
Traveler's
around, yeah.
Lodge.
but it's man, it's a machine. You know, they
Yeah.
have formulas and specs to every detail, and you know, if it's this if it's this brand, you walk in and to your left you will have your breakfast nook.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have your 2 counters. The one on the right also does bar service, and you know, whatever it is.
So that's
but
kind of like a turnkey
It is.
option. Like if you're a builder and going, okay, I want to target a Holiday Inn or
Mm-hmm.
a Marriott or whatever these brands are, the management, then you would go, okay, this is what I want to do. So they'll go, okay, here's what you have to do.
Yep,
For us to
exactly.
be involved, because
Exactly.
this is our brand and our style and
Yeah.
how our customers want it to run.
Yeah, it's almost like they'll provide you with a box of everything you need in order to build it to spec, and then you can have some guarantees. Like they can tell you with a certain amount of accuracy how much you can expect in revenues and how long and profitability margins, because they have all the data,
Yeah.
right? And so with that, if coming from an investment standpoint, if that's all you want out of that property, then you know what you're getting and you know how much it's going to cost, and it's a bit of a, you know, you check your boxes. But we have a lot of independent hotels in Victoria, and the independent hotels have the ability to to be independent from those parameters
Yeah.
and do have more flexibility in what they choose to do, which makes it a little more interesting in some ways, right? More risk,
Yeah.
but more control.
Well, I
for
guess
the
you don't
owners.
have that proven brand sort of ideology. Like I know I usually stay at similar brands that I know and like,
Yeah.
and I'll choose those over an independent, I think. Like I wouldn't maybe take a risk on that. So when you're going through this process with a builder, so a builder's calling you up and say, I'd like some advice on how to do this and what I should do. So then you'll be kind of, I'm just imagining or guessing, but you'll figure out where they want to be in the market as far as if it's upper end, middle end, or lower end, or what their goals are long term for the property, I guess. And then position them with a different brand, I guess. Would you do that function, or are you just really setting up, here's what you've got to have for the hospitality components for the hotel,
Yeah.
that thing? Or are you going to try to marry those brands with,
So
I'm trying to understand your business.
I know it's
Yeah.
a great question. And there's just so much happening right now that, like for example, I think I have 13 known potential hotel development projects within Victoria.
Wow.
Of those, we're
exciting.
lucky if more than a couple will get
Yeah.
off the ground because the viability issue. So there's a lot of kicking tires right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
A lot
really
of the
trying to
planning process.
yeah, really wanting to understand, is this the model that they want to go into? And if so, I have this plot of land. What's the best use for it?
Yeah.
And so, we have permits to build 10 stories, 7 stories, 12 stories. What can I do with that? How many rooms, and how can I make this make business sense? And so I'm helping with those discussions
Yeah.
because I can bring in the numbers as far as, what the demand into the destination is, what the occupancy as a destination, average rate, where the gaps are in the type of hotels. Like we don't need 50 of all the same type of
Yeah.
hotel. We need some variety and some balance in the type of hotels that we have, and to meet the needs that we're falling short on right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm putting together assessments and reports for the developers on those. Really dry stuff.
Yeah.
But
Boring.
it leads into the really exciting stuff, which is, do we want a destination restaurant here in this? That would really change things for this community. And what does that look like? How do you make it so that our Victoria community will accept a new restaurant that's a part of a hotel? Hotel restaurants
Yeah,
don't.
it's so fickle on the island.
It is. And hotel restaurants are tough, right?
Yeah.
They don't always have their own identity. And
Well, a
they're-
lot of them are lost leaders too,
Yeah,
right? Like they're
exactly.
just there because they have to be there.
Yeah.
But they're really just keeping the lights on, and
Yeah.
they're not not expecting it to be a profit center.
I gotta say though, I loved going down for pizza at the Oak Bay
Yeah,
Hotel.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it was great.
But that's an example of a
great
boutique
destination.
that in order to have that boutique element, you have to have those really cool independent things that are attached to it for
Totally.
people to be interested.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can't just
Yeah.
put like a Panagos pizza,
No.
right? And expect any, any uptick from.
It's Oak Bay is an example of something that's like the ratio is a little backwards than most. So of the restaurants at the Oak Bay Beach Hotel, the local clientele made up 75%, and then the rest was hotel guests. And typically in a downtown hotel, it would be reversed, right? But Victoria does a really good job, I think, for their hotel restaurants. You think of the Magnolia, for example, and the Courtney Room. You know, that Courtney Room has its own identity. It stands on its own.
Yeah. It has a draw and
it
has a
does,
support base here.
So, no, we're doing the right things in Victoria. And I think from my perspective, what I'm really enjoying is that the decisions that are being made now really are going to be shaping the next, 15 years of hotel and hospitality in the destination. So you have to get it right. And I feel
How do we do it,
No
man?
pressure.
Exactly.
Come on, I need the answer.
And I think it's really important to have the right voices at the table that are part of the community and understand the community, as opposed to a lot of outside forces coming in that are investors or developers that don't live in Victoria
And don't really care.
well,
I mean, they care about their profit.
Yeah.
They care about.
yeah.
But I think that's the thing that I'm most interested in. I'm most interested in those owners and operators and kind of investors that actually care about the community.
Yeah.
So want to make decisions that are going to be pro community versus pro their own pocket.
100%.
I think there's a balance. And I think in Victoria, if you don't put the community first, then
You're not
your
gonna be
pocketbook
successful.
is not going to work.
No,
right?
I agree. And luckily, so far, the contracts I've been working on are very community-minded projects. And I think, like-minded people like to work together. And so it's worked well so far.
So there's a lot of good energy.
There is. Yeah.
That makes it exciting.
And
does.
are you working primarily with the big brands, or are you looking at independent owners as well?
So, and again, this has all just happened in the last 8 weeks. So I've been
So what's
drinking
your
through a fire hose of. So for me, my expertise lies in hotel operations and what you need to set up a hotel successfully. However, over the last 8 weeks, just to be better informed and really be able to speak to it intelligently, I've been meeting with the big brands. I've been going to all of the conferences and educating myself as much as I can and learning about them and realizing, okay, there's a bit of a matrix here of, if you want to build to this specification of, say, a luxury Marriott hotel, then that translates to the same in, Hyatt and da-da-da-da. Like, what are the standards across the board and what does that look like? And then if you have somebody who wants to be an independent hotel, it's really great for them to be able to measure where that hotel falls. It's almost like a master matrix of a standard level, right? So if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I am learning a lot about the brands and working with the brands just to get, the specs and better understanding of what they need. But it's all comes down to the owners and the developers of what they want, right? I can advise one way or another, but
they're going to make the final choice.
There's a risk and reward for both independent and for brand, and it really depends on the owner.
Now the city, because I know kind of where the old Monty's was, that site there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there was going to be I can't remember the name of the brand, but Frank D'Ambrosio did the design. There was it went to the city. I think it got killed.
It did.
I think it did, right? So is that land just sitting vacant now? Is there another operator? Do you know some information?
You do.
So yes,
That's a plot of land that a hotel needs to be on.
that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And so, it went through a really lengthy process and it was challenging. And I think it actually shone a spotlight on where the roadblocks are for business and like hotel development. And was a catalyst to create hotel development task force under Destination Greater Victoria that I was brought in to be a
excellent.
part of.
Cool.
So it's just bringing everybody to the table to talk about what are the roadblocks. We've got developers, we have the City of Victoria, we have, we have a number of different parties at the table to talk about, okay, why is height so important for these plots of land? Well, you need to have a certain ratio of rooms for it to be viable.
Yeah.
And so, I think part of the challenge was in some of the builds has been a limit on the height restrictions. And
Because of the zoning and the heritage
zoning,
sections, right?
And so I've quickly learned that, moving from a wood structure, I think it maxes out at 6 or 7 stories, 6 stories, and then you move to concrete, it's not viable until you hit 12. And so it's called the death zone in between. And so that's kind of, those are the conversations I'm learning a lot about. I'm
And I
not
think
an expert
in that area, it's like 10-story height max.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, that's the death part,
zone.
right?
So
give us 13 or give us 12.
Exactly.
And they can't get over that hump.
No, and so they will. And I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of appetite to get this right and to work together, but just getting the people at the table and getting a shared understanding and be able to play with the numbers to say, you see what happens when we do this and you see what happens when we do that.
Yeah.
And how can we bridge that gap to make it work? So back to that plot of land. What the original proposal was and what was put forward is no longer moving forward, but there will be something else there. I'm not really at. I don't think I can share information on that just yet, but I'm really excited
have no
about that.
listeners.
Yeah.
You're in the safe
Your
zone. For
secret
So,
is
yeah,
safe
yeah,
with me. But no, I don't want to share anything out of turn. But no, it's exciting to see the interest there because that's such a
It's desperately needed.
such a key piece. If
Yeah.
you can think about
Yeah.
what could fit there, and then it fills in that whole piece. You think about Marilena around the corner. There's
Yes.
the Hyatt Civic
Pearson,
that's going
obviously,
to
and-
open in a couple of years, and so.
Oh, that's on Broad
Yeah.
Street? Yeah.
Yeah. And no, but if you think about, I love thinking, okay, in 5 years' time or, 7 years' time, what could this look like?
Yeah.
And that's pretty exciting. So,
Well, I think it's such a key part of the vitality of downtown. Like that one corner, and it's on Pandora and Government, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go down and go up, it's just the mess that's been over the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some marked improvement over the last year. And I think there's I know I'm kind of privy to some things that they're working on through the city. So I'm thinking the next 2 to 3 years will be great. So having that timing of having a new destination sort of spot on that corner with all of it. And it's right across from McPherson Playhouse.
Yeah,
And there's
it's
just
a big hole downtown, really. And
and even when it was there, having a strip joint there,
at
like,
least
come on.
it had traffic going. And it,
no,
I mean,
it was just a bad use of that spot.
it was a bad use for the spot, maybe, but it kind of.
I mean,
there
the
wasn't
18, 19-year-old Kaylin loved it,
Right.
but it was not. It's not. But yeah, we don't want that use.
No,
coming back,
I'm not saying build a 20-story Monty's, but I'm saying when there was anything there, it kind of felt like you could walk past there, and there was always something going on, and it just was
you can't have dead
more continuity.
land.
Yeah, exactly. You
I
can't have
mean,
the
dead land is the worst because there's nothing productive happening there, and there's no vitality at all.
No.
So even if you had the old building that was operational, they had a restaurant in there that was, I think it was run by a nonprofit. So at least there's people going in and out of there. So makes it a little bit more vital, but you also want to draw tourists down for Government Street.
Yeah.
There's so much more, we've got the Phillips, tasting room and all these things, but you're never going to get past that hole. They're going to look down there and go, oh, there's just a hole down there. We don't need
there's
to worry
nothing
about
there.
it.
Yeah.
Right. Which.
Yeah. It's, what's really cool is Destination Greater Victoria worked on a destination plan, and they spent years doing it. I was very lucky. I was able to sit at the table and be part of those conversations, and they sort of mapped out future regions. And so the arts and entertainment district actually reaches up through that up to Phillips. And wouldn't that be great?
Yes,
and if you have a vision and you're working within that vision, it's really easy to guide people. But what would you want to see on that corner? If it was going to be a hotel. I
would like to see like a very, cool restaurant concept that has a bit of a nightlife, like getting people into downtown core after like 8, 9 o'clock. And obviously they have a very robust resident community down there, association. Yeah. So like you've got to make sure you've got them at the table where you're hearing what their concerns are, because I'm pretty sure that was one of the bigger stumbling blocks with as far as allowing the variance on the height and then what it's going to go in there. But I think something really cool. We have a lot of restaurants in the city, so I sort of hesitant to say, oh, let's bring another. I mean, we've got Marilena, and obviously I own an Italian restaurant in the downtown and things like that, but good competition is totally fine. So whatever the operator's going to be, it needs to be good. Yeah. And, I don't know if more retail shops, I don't know if that's part of it, but I think a restaurant or bar or something.
Yeah. Well, I think after talking or hearing you talk, I think a hotel is a great thing to have on the corner. Yeah. I love how passionate you are about telling about how a hotel can revitalize a block and maybe in a couple square blocks around it. And yeah.
And it's such a really neat corner of Old Town and Chinatown. Yeah. And, the history in that area I'm learning so much about. And, I can't help but think as a hotel sales and marketing person going back to those days, there's just such a great story to tell about that area and to bring it back to life.
I mean, there's cool. Like even because I actually did a heritage restoration on a building on Broad Street. And I really got into the idea of either heritage restorations or heritage design. So doing it in a way that sort of is you can make it modern feel, but it's a bit of a throwback to the aesthetics of what Old Town was in Victoria, because I think tying to that history is all a part of capturing the experience of coming to Victoria. Yeah. And then you get to say all the stories that come out of that. Yeah. If you just put this big, new build, like then all of a sudden you've got no story, no connection to history, and it just limits your ability to kind of draw people, and the marketing component of it. So I think that's whoever you're talking to, let's make sure the design is a throwback. And also I think you're then gonna limit the voices of opposition a bit, because then you're speaking to, even if you're going to add a couple, I think you have to add some stories. Like this idea that Victoria is going to be an 8-story town.
I thought Townline kind of blew that out of the water with all their development being way more than.
Well, they do, but it's all in certain sections, like the TELUS building that is being built or whatever it's called. Like, I don't know if TELUS going in it, but I think it's called the TELUS building down on Broughton, I think, or in that area.
Behind the Empress.
Yeah, behind the Empress. That obviously there was a lot of variances that were done there, but I think even the style, like I look at the drawings of what it's going to look like, and that was a big stumbling block for them. And I'm like, I don't think the city of Victoria, I think that's one of the things for me, just connecting to the history of Victoria. And, 100 years from now, I'm hoping that they remember, our Chinatown's one of the oldest Chinatowns in North America. And, you talk about the history of all of those little things that happened over the years, that you put a big steel structure or glass build that doesn't fit the history of it, then all of a sudden I don't know, there's a huge disconnect there for me. And I think, we don't need to get really wild and crazy. And it sounds old. I'm 55 now. I sound like an old man. We don't want any change. But I think you could
conservative. Maybe.
Well, there's so much pride in it. I remember when we did our restoration, and once you get into it, like we actually bought wood, reclaimed wood that we put back in of the period that the original building was built in.
Yeah.
So, and we milled it ourselves on site in order to do that. And there was it cost us a fortune, but it was so much pride. And that when you walk in there, I mean, it's still all there and you're just going, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
And I wish I didn't sell the building. I didn't want to sell the building, but it just got a good price. But just that sort of a craft that goes into that, there's a lot of, not only is it good for the environment and upcycling and things like that, it's really good for your soul to be using stuff that was touched and treated 80 years ago, 70 years ago, 100 years ago. And it's just I don't know, there's something special about that.
There is. And I think Victoria is really unique in the sense that we take pride in, a lot of destinations do, but, it's a point of differentiation for us. We really lean into that. We really hold on to it. But it's a fine line between holding on too tight and becoming stagnant as a destination, and growth and development. But if there's a unified approach, and I think this is where the development task force, I see a lot of potential is, if there's a shared understanding of what the vision is, then you can grow respectfully with the vision of what you want that to look like in 10, 15, 20 years time, as opposed to ad hoc approvals that go up, by one councillor here or whatever that the exceptions are. There just needs to be a strategy around the approach, I think, right?
Well, and I think it just allows for more yeses than nos. And, I think in this day, and the thing that frustrates me the most is all the just the nonsense that goes on in the process and planning. And it's what do we do? Why are we doing this? And you add layers of costs at every step and, cutting out all the red tape and the bull for lack of the BS for lack of, a better word. Because I don't know. I get frustrated. I just want okay, let's go. I mean, they did blanket zoning, which I'm not, there's reasons why that's bad. And there's definitely an escalation in the land costs by doing that. There's some barriers there if you put in some roadblocks to do rezoning, and it also gives people to fine tune the project and more input versus just okay, you've got the zoning, so you can do it. Now it rises to the highest dollar. Now every property is up high rather than going, okay, well, you need $300,000 to turn this into, the permitted use.
Not only that, but the time it takes, right?
Yes,
So it's averaging 3 years to get through all of the approval processes. It just, that's just a roadblock in itself.
Well, even the carrying costs and all of that stuff that's factored in. And I think, people don't appreciate how much risk there is in doing these types of things. So there needs to be a balance between oversight and following, a proper process, but with expediting and not adding layers of kind of complications and expense that is unnecessary, because, time's ticking by. We need to get, especially with the hotels, because I think someone said we are 1,100 rooms short or something for a city our size. And I mean, was there effect with I don't know if I might be making up that number, but it was a big number. Yeah, it was a way bigger. Oh, you got the data? Yeah,
you got real. Real data.
I'm scared of it. There's charts and everything. Shoot.
So Destination Greater Victoria hired a company to do some assessments, and essentially we're saying we're 800 to 1,200 room nights rooms short.
I was going to say 800, but I went high. I always go high.
Short, and that is a very conservative number. We've actually lost that many rooms in the last 15 years. So that would just bring us back up to where we were 15 years ago. And our destination has grown. The interest in the destination, the awards we've been winning. So I'll say that 800 to 1,200 new keys in the destination is very conservative. And that is based off of data from 2 years ago. So the reality is we're way behind. Things continue to grow. And in 5 years' time, which is the reality for if something were to be started now, today, it wouldn't open for 5 years. We're further behind.
We might be short 2,500.
Exactly. And so the challenge that we have is we want to make sure we're not oversaturating the market. It needs to be gradually introduced. We need to make sure everybody is successful along the way. The existing hotels can't feel as though that they're taking a huge hit in occupancy. But now really is the time that we have to do it. And then when you're looking at the conference center, right? So that conference center is either going to be rebuilt or expanded. And we know that the lease for the conference center comes up in the mid 30s, and it takes a long time to plan for that. So when that conference center is completed, we'll need at least 2 more conference hotels to make it viable. So that's before this is before all of that comes into factor. So we have catching up to do before we can even look at future growth on top of it. So
it's such a lost opportunity in my mind too, in light especially of what's happening south of us, and people are making different destination choices, and especially even internally in our own country.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got more demand potential, more opportunity for that, but we're already 15 years behind.
Yep.
On capacity. We also eliminated Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Which, I don't want to get into the pros and cons of that necessarily, but if you had 800 Airbnbs and now you have like 20 or 30 or 40 or however many were left after they got gutted, that's capacity too. And we're competing with other destinations that do allow Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So, for affordability, but, we already are short 1,500 or arguably we're probably short 1,500 to 2,000 hotel rooms.
Yep.
In Victoria. So what are we doing?
Exactly. So
what are we doing?
that's why now is so important. And I won't get too far into the Airbnb, but I'll just touch on it. I think, obviously in the last 5 years coming out of the pandemic, the housing crisis was a huge challenge, and for hotels specifically, and it was the same for other industries as well. But many hotels were not able to fully reopen because they didn't have enough staff, or they were housing their staff in the hotels. So our own hotels in Greater Victoria, some of them are still housing staff. And a few of them were limiting what they could sell up until even a year ago because they had an entire floor dedicated to housing staff. And that was almost fully because of the lack of accommodation in Victoria. So with the accommodation challenges and the Airbnb, for the good and the bad of everything, but strictly from housing, affordability and accessibility, Airbnb putting those rooms back into the rental pool has allowed hotels to actually reopen floors and for there to be more housing.
So there was a noticeable difference after that?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
And in every city where that took place.
Yeah.
So just speaking from a housing perspective, so now that we have housing for our staff, we can operate.
Yes. Yeah.
Now is the right time for us to add hotel rooms, because there was a conversation. You could build hotels, but we don't have the staff to staff them. Right. And Victoria's such a wonderful place to live. Everybody wants to be here, and it's very expensive, right? So, but we are at a place where, yes, now that we have housing sort of freed back up a little bit, then now we can actually build more hotels and have staff for those hotels.
I've got a final question for you as we wrap up our podcast. And I don't know if you can answer this question, but how would you recommend independent restaurants or coffee shops or hospitality kind of work with, trying to attract business from these conferences and Destination Greater Victoria? Like, how can they better utilize the opportunity or try to put their name forward, or how do they advance their business?
Yeah,
with that?
Absolutely. I'll plug Destination Greater Victoria on this one.
They're fantastic.
They have an incredible team, and they're always looking for content, right? Yeah. Like anybody who does social media and marketing, you're looking for content. And if you are able to provide them with content and just be a voice, show up, be engaged, be active, show up to different events, build those relationships with those key people, you will be included. They've got their newsletters, and they have opportunities to host different things. And the more awareness you build on your business, the more your business will be included. And we've seen some really great success out of that. A number of different businesses throughout Greater Victoria that have partnered with DGV and have had great media showcasing as well. So there's a proactive element to it. I know that a lot of businesses are like, why are we never showcased?
Yeah.
The ones that are the
Ones that
noisies.
put the effort in.
And they're knocking at the door, and they're making sure that they're bringing forward relevant content that can be easily utilized, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because I think a lot of people, like, we're a member of Destination Greater Victoria, so there's an expense to that, but I think it's worth its weight in gold if you work with them and participate. So I would recommend, if you're an independent operator, to join.
Yeah. You get out of it what you put into it, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
They're a great resource with a lot of reach. So
I love it. Anything else you want to leave us with?
Sure, I'll do just a little plug.
Yes,
that's okay.
100%.
So my husband and I, I'm a part owner of the Whole Beast, and my husband owns the Whole Beast and the Village Butcher on Oak Bay Avenue. And so we had an unfortunate situation happen a few weeks ago with a fire in the back of the building, and We've recovered, and the businesses have reopened out front, but the work is going to take a long time in the back. And so leading into the Christmas and holiday seasons, I just want to give a little plug. Please come and support, come and visit us. It's the time of year where we need it the most. I don't want anybody to think that we're closed. We have reopened. We may have a limited list of products that we're trying to outsource some solutions for. But
everything's smoked now?
The entire shop has been smoked.
No, Texas barbecue joint.
No, but everything has been deep cleaned. It's been reopened, but there's just a little bit of work on the back end. But it's this time of year. It's the holidays. We want to just thank our customers. We'll be hosting a customer appreciation night soon. But please, when you're thinking about the holidays, think supporting small business. And if you're looking for any kind of charcuterie or cured meats, and obviously a butcher shop, keep us in mind in Oak Bay.
I love that. We'll promote it through the Bread and Butter podcast, Instagram, and social media channels, and I'll do that through Big Will as well.
Amazing, thank you.
To promote it. I didn't even realize there was. I gotta get my back was out, guys. I was at drugs.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
We were trying not to get it out on the airwaves.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that. But yes, let's promote that and support local. And don't buy on Amazon, man.
No.
Like, we cannot support these operators that don't support us.
Right.
Exactly.
I learned a lot about the business end of hotels. I've always been kind of outwardly interested in how the internal structure works of hotels. And I had this a crazy vision of hotels that I got from a TV show called Hotel Babylon.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Faulty Towers.
No. This was way better.
Or Back to the Future, part 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When
he's got. No, that's what I thought about Monty's on that corner.
Right.
Anyway, I just want to say thank you for taking my image of what goes on in the hotel, which, if you haven't seen Hotel Babylon, you really should. It's fantastic. But kind of bringing it back to earth and making it real.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, thank you for listening. I know it can be a little dry sometimes, but
it's awesome.
It's exciting for the future. So, yeah.
Well, good luck, and we'll have you on in the future, and let's have a good Christmas season at the Whole Beast. And, let's go.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Charcuterie all the way.
Let's do it. I'll be there. I'm going to be buying some charcuterie. Let's go.
Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Oh, thanks for your time. Really
it was a pleasure.
it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. We got to say
Hey, we got to say our goodbyes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Kaylin, I hope you have a really good week.
Be real kind.
I will. You be really nice.
I will.
All right.
Bread and Butter Collective's membership includes the following local businesses: 2% Jazz, Bunny's Kitchen, Buzz Coffee House, Eagle-Ite, Big Wheel Burger, Blue Mountain Solutions, Bodega Tapas Wine Bar, Eva Schnitzel House, Farmsgate Foods and Catering, Victoria Chocolate and Company, Drum Roaster Coffee, Habit Coffee, Foo Asian Street Food, the Culinary Arts Program at Camosun, Cafe Fantastico, Fall Epi, Harold Street Brewworks, Hey Happy, House of Botang, Nikkei Ramen Ya, Jenny Marie's Cracker Company, La Pasta, La Rue Patisserie, Mocha House, Part and Parcel, Poco a Pinto Bar, Pizzeria Prima Strada, Keating Pizza, Roast, Table 9 Consulting, Sherwood Cafe and Bar, Sweets by Selena, The Collective Wine Bar and Kitchen, The Drake, Tapa Bar, The Nimble Bar Company, Ruth and Dean, The Whole Beast, The Wienery, Spoon's Diner, Truffles-Inspired Catering, and Zambries.
To hear more from the Bread and Butter Collective, go to checknews.ca/podcasts, on Check Plus, or find us on your favorite podcasting platform.